Welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel. This video was finishing up a sign that I've been building. There are other parts of this video. If you want to watch it on my channel, there's a playlist called the sign build. So I'm just putting some final touches on this sign. I'm putting a couple of cleats on the back of it here to strengthen it up a bit. Where these cleats are glued to it is going to be where the posts are going to support it. So the screws that go through the sign to anchor it to the post will go through these as well. This old cedar is so soft, I just didn't want to just have these 1-bys with the screws through them. Somebody get too rough with the sign and tear it down off of the post. So I'm hoping these make it a little stouter, and these boards are just edge glued together, and of course everybody knows this cedar's a bit prone to split, so I thought this would help hold all of that together a bit. Now, I am aware that I'm gluing things together in cross grain here, but it'll certainly be better than nothing. While the glue's drying on these a bit, I'm going to jump over and do a little work on the posts that we've not done much to. Here I'm cutting a pyramid facet shape on the top of the post just to help the water shed off of the end grain on them. Of course, these will be fully varnished, but at some point the varnish will go downhill and everything goes downhill from there. But I'm cutting these at 22.5 degrees. Once I cut the first one, I'm just lining the top edge of the previous shoulder cut up with the start of the new cut and working my way around. And as long as I'm pretty accurate doing that, I come back to just about the same point that I started at. I've got a little knot here on that last cut I just made, kind of runs out to the corner. I'm trying to decide if I should just leave that alone, if it's a stable enough knot. Some of the knots in this cedar are completely loose, like some of your western pines are. Some of them are good and tight and solid, and they're actually harder than the lumber itself. So here's a look at the end of it. I think that'll work out pretty well. I'm going to go around these posts with this roundover bit. So I've got a 1/4-inch bearing guide roundover bit. It's just a 1/4 radius bit. I'm going to run it on all the edges of everything that is exposed on this sign, including these posts. If you have any experience or don't with machining lumber, when you machine it down, when you make perfectly square corners, those corners are sharp. They are really aggressive. If you were to hit them, it's not like lumber that you get from the lumber yard. All of that stuff already has a radius about like I'm putting on this built into it. So I'm just going over these real quick, knocking the corners off. Another benefit to doing this is those corners on this soft cedar are real prone to dink up. So just hauling it, I'd have to be real careful not to dink it up. Next, I'm giving these a quick sanding with some 180 grit paper, getting preparation for putting some varnish on them. Here I'm giving everything a quick wipe down, getting all the dust off of it. I'm wiping everything down about 3 times using 3 separate clean rags, trying to get all the loose dust off of it. This cedar dust is a little sticky. It doesn't really readily want to just come right off. Here I've started the varnishing process. I've sped this all up and chopped it quite a bit out, trying to make it a little more interesting, because watching somebody paint just isn't really terribly interesting. Now, of course, this cedar, as you get the first coat on, it really kind of comes to life. It's pretty dull and boring until you get a finish on it. Trying to get a good coat on the face of this sign where these letters are engraved into the face was a bit challenging. I've never done one with quite so much lettering on it, and some of this lettering is pretty deep. All the large letters are about 7/16 inch deep. The smaller ones are about 3/8 deep. So you got to be really careful applying varnish. You'll end up with puddles in the bottom of those that'll take forever, of course, to dry. I'm using Minwax indoor outdoor spar urethane. It's supposed to have exceptional protection from sunlight, rain, moisture, and temperature changes. I am using a clear semi-gloss of it. I've used it in the past for a couple of outdoor projects, and it seemed to hold up for a few years. This urethane I'm using doesn't say anything about using a base coat of anything like a sand and sealer first. So I'm just trying to get a nice full coat on the first coat here and let it dry. It does recommend at least 3 to 4 coats for an outdoor project. This cedar, of course, would do just fine out in the weather without the finish on it, but the look sure wouldn't be the same. Within just weeks of being out in the sun and weather, this would turn pretty gray, and sure wouldn't have the pop that this has with the finish on it. I'm just about to finish up the first coat of varnish on this sign and post. Once I get that done, this first coat won't take but about 4 hours to dry hard enough to give it a quick sand with some 320. Of course, you got to sand it, and then I got to use a rag to clean all the sanding dust off. And then we'll go into a second coat and go over the entire thing one more time for you. I actually put 4 coats on it, but I'm just kind of giving you a real quick visual of the second coat here. I'm having to be really careful with this thing, trying not to dink up the finish I've already got on it. I've got some little slats on these sawhorses that I've got screws stuck into, so that when I sit it, I'm only sitting it on 4 little old screws so that I have very minimal disruption in the finish. This second and further coats was even more of a challenge on these letters on this thing, as far as trying to keep a wet edge, and it's just a lot of work to work it into those and not get too much and keep a wet edge on the whole sign as you're moving across it. Welcome back. We're out here on location today, setting this sign that I built. If you've been following the videos, this is the last of a series, a playlist on my channel. I built this sign to go at the trailhead here of a trail that I built over the summer at the local elementary school. The school owns some excess property they acquired to build the building. I built a trail and an outdoor classroom. Let's get a measure. I'm feeling like that's getting close. Oh yeah. This other one pushed down in the ground a ways. I think that's close to where I need to be digging. This old ground is hard. We're in the middle of a drought. As you can see, the grass is about all died out here. This is clay right to the top. This has been worked before, so all the topsoil has been stripped away. It is just partly sandy clay. It would be hard as concrete, but my wife's a school teacher here at the school, and you can see those jugs there. I had her water in the exact location where those holes was going to be for a week prior to coming out here and digging the holes, and it was still incredibly hard to dig. So I'm digging these down about a little over 2 foot. I'm trying to get about 6'2" sticking out of the ground. We'll drop this one in the hole, get a tape measure, see how our spread is. I said we need to be 31, no, 34. Let me get my level. I think this one's pretty close. So I need these to be fairly level at this point, even though I'm not backfilling them yet, just to make sure that I'm getting the correct measurement between the posts, because they're sitting on the ground down in the bottom of the hole. They're pivoting there, so as the level changes on the post, so does the spread between the posts at the ground height. I'm trying to get 34 inches between them and parallel and level at the same time. Then I'm also making a quick check just to make sure that the tops are roughly the same height. There you go.
I thought we were going to level it.
They are good. If I start pushing it, let me know.
Meant for it to be straighter, but
July.
thing got moved and put it in the wrong place, I guess.
That's going to wrap up the install of the sign. Directly behind here is a bird feeder support that I built and installed. Game and Fish provided the bird feeders for it. They also supplied the funding for some binoculars for the kids to observe with. Here on the right, we've got a outdoor seating area for a classroom. So far it's been used quite a bit. There's a bit of cleaning up that needs to be done around the perimeter of it, but this is all we've had time to do so far. And we need some gravel for it and the trail, but so far funding has been pretty thin. This trail is about 1,000 feet long, 6 to 8 feet wide. I put in, I think it was 4 culverts, crossed it. We managed to get those donated. There's culvert number 1. We're going this way and walking right into the sun and the spider webs. Somebody's been down through here with a bicycle.
Regularly, like every day.
All of this ground that we're walking on now is fill dirt that I'd brought in, because there's a culvert there. Then there's another culvert here. I had to push out several small trees to make this happen. I didn't actually push out or saw down anything big. We got this one old growth pine tree. There's more in here like this, but this is the only one that's right next to the trail. This rascal is 4 foot at the stump. And he's well over 100 feet tall. We've got one leaning tree here that a tree service is supposed to come and cut down, but they were supposed to over a month ago. Eventually I may come and cut it down. I cut down the mate to it that was a pine tree that I made all those seats for on the other end of the trail. Here's another culvert we installed. So it's pretty straight from here to the end of the part that I produced. Got this one little crookedy tree in the middle of it. I may take it out at some point so you could get all the way down through here with a vehicle. But it goes out there and ties into a water line right away that goes right back over to the school. I appreciate you watching the video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel.